Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, and welcome to another episode of our Tuesday night Chairman Chats, where we talk to key influencers and candidates running on the Republican Party ticket here in the great state of Texas. Tonight, we have some really good individuals that we're going to be chatting with. First of all, we're going to have Vicki Huyge, who is the Executive Director of the Texas State Rifle Association. The Texas State Rifle Association is 101 years of age. And when you talk about the fight for the Second Amendment and our liberties and freedoms, the Texas State Rifle Association is right on the forefront. And then we're going to talk to a county commission candidate by the name of S.T. Russell right here in Dallas County. If you know or have a little familiarity with what's going on in Dallas County, we need to start changing out some people in that county commission. The county judge, Clay Jenkins, he is the one that has been issuing out a lot of these unconstitutional and draconian mandates, edicts, orders. And then also you have the person that S.T. Russell is running against, John Wiley Price. So think about this. The Dallas County Commission just recently voted 4-1. The only person dissenting was the one Republican, that they would allow someone that said they had a fear of COVID-19 to classify that as a disability. Also, they can get a mail-in ballot. So tonight, Vicki Huyge and also S.T. Russell, Texas State Rifle Association, County Commission seat here in Dallas County. Thanks for joining us. Hey, greetings everyone. As promised, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West here with Vicki Huyge, who is the Executive Director of the Texas State Rifle Association. Vicki is a native of Texas and has been a member of TSRA since the early 1990s, when she became involved in the shooting sports and as a TSRA life member since 1996 and an NRA member. She has participated in bullseye pistol, shotgunning, IPSC, high-power service rifle, cowboy action shooting disciplines. She is a graduate of Thunder Ranch. For many years, she was an NRA certified instructor and taught beginning shooters, and the NRA's Refuse to be a Victim course. She served on the board of directors of the Texas State Rifle Association as director of women's issues. After retiring from a career in corporate America, she began to work in the TSRA office in 2017 and became executive director in January of 2018. Her long-term goal is to leave TSRA a few years with updated systems and ready to take on the future of supporting the shooting disciplines and the Second Amendment. And in full disclosure, I am a life member of the Texas State Rifle Association at the benefactor level. Vicki, if I can call you Vicki, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here.
You know, I think that our state rifle associations are so very important. And so just give us a little background on the 100-year history of the Texas State Rifle Association.
I will. We were formed in 1919, and initially it was men coming back from the military who wanted to keep up their shooting skills. We have evolved over that 100 years to still supporting shooting disciplines in state matches, but we've taken on a much larger legislative role in this last 20 or 30 years.
You know, that's very much so the same story with the National Rifle Association, right? Because General Ambrose Burnside, you know, the first leader, coming out of the Civil War, he saw that marksmanship was such in a horrible state that they wanted to start an organization that talked about marksmanship and improving those skills. And of course, the NRA was incorporated in 1871. And like you said, it has become more of an advocacy organization, even more so for our Second Amendment. So tell us about some of the programs of the Texas State Rifle Association that are on the cutting edge here in the great state of Texas.
We still sanction 20 or more state championship matches a year in different shooting disciplines, everything from high power to cowboy action to police pistol combat. Those have been postponed or rescheduled at this point because of the COVID issue that we're all dealing with, but they're beginning to be rescheduled for the fall, and we look forward to a whole lot of them coming back toward the end of the year.
Now, what are
You know,
some of the, I attended your annual meeting and thank you for the humbling honor to be able to speak at it. But what are some of the other seminars or some of the meetings that may be upcoming and may get to once again happen when we come out of this mandatory house arrest lockdown state?
some of the things that we've been involved in and will continue to be, Mike Cox, who is our legislative director, has been very involved in going and speaking to different groups around the state. He'll travel from one end of the state to the other to speak to them and bring them up to speed on what's happening legislatively in the state. We've also had, we have about 10 different regional directors across the state, and those people participate in events put on by the Dallas Safari Club, Houston Safari Club, different gun collecting organizations, and participate in those in terms of getting information out. We also have a fully endowed scholarship to Texas A&M University in College Station, and that has grown to the point where now we can sponsor 10 applicants a semester in helping them pay for their college education. And our foundation has about 5 more scholarships that are given out to different schools in the state.
Let's talk about that because I had the opportunity to go down to Texas A&M University. The Commandant of Corps Cadets is someone that I served with on active duty,
Oh.
General Ramirez, Big Joe as we used to call him. But I was able to spend time with the rifle team, the shooting team down there, and the captain of the shooting team was a young lady by the name of Savannah Butters, who was just a phenomenal young lady. And when I look at all of your background and all the things that you have done, most people see this whole thing about, the Second Amendment and owning, firearms is just an old white guy thing. But I think that demographic is shifting. It's changing. Do you see that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many of our youngsters that are coming up are from all different kinds of backgrounds. And what they're finding is that this is helping with their self-discipline, number one, but it's helping them get a higher education and helping pay for that through their shooting. So yes, we've got a lot of
and that's one of the things that I've always been an advocate for. I remember the first time I got the opportunity to really shoot was being on our little rifle team in the high school junior ROTC program. And back then we trusted, the kids, us, to be able to shoot the 22 caliber rifles. So how many of these, youth sporting events do you sponsor, let's say on average per year?
We have 2 dedicated directors that work with youth small bore teams, in addition to several ROTC groups that we highlight and help out through our magazine information. Many of the youth groups that are shooting high power now, we sponsor several of those individuals every year to go to the nationals. And so we support them through ammunition purchases and that kind of thing, but we also support their travels there, as well as youth BB gun. We have kids starting as young as 5 and 6 years old in our BB gun program where they learn safety and just have a really great time doing that, participating in that program.
It's interesting because when you have the anti-gun, the gun control, progressive socialist left, they never talk about these programs and the positive aspect, such as the program you were involved with was the NRA Refuse to Be a Victim program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I taught that program for several years. And the thing, even though I was a shooter at the time, the thing that I really liked about it was that it gave other people, particularly women, safety tips that could keep you from succumbing to being a victim in your daily life. And it didn't really deal with firearms. It was mainly just thinking about your surroundings, being prepared for what you were going to do. And I had a tremendous response from people to that program.
You know, when we talk about all these programs, we talk about all these positive things. You know, we know that Michael Bloomberg and his Every Town for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action, they're now showing up on the doorsteps here in Texas, trying to replicate what they did in Virginia, where they spent 2 to 3 million, and they were able to flip the Virginia State Assembly and also the state Senate. Bloomberg has already promised 8 to 10 million to be dumped here into Texas. So when you look at that type of money coming up against you here in the state of Texas, what's your greatest concern and challenge for the Texas State Rifle Association in preventing Texas from going the way that Virginia went in 2019?
I think that the best thing that not only the members of TSRA can do, but all Texans, is to get out and vote. I think that that's really, really important. Mike Cox, our legislative director, has encouraged people in that each time there is an election where it's contested, he notifies the people in that district. He sends out postcards, he sends out emails and calls, and we contact the people and get them to get involved. We suggest that they call their representative. We definitely suggest that they go vote. And I think that that's the primary thing, is to get people involved in voting and in grassroots activities in this area.
You know, we have already seen Bloomberg with his first wave. It was about $250,000 in commercial ads that he has started to run. The first one was against Congressman Dan Crenshaw. I know up here in North Texas, he's targeting State House and also a U.S. congressional seat as well. How can we make sure that we can get more resources to the Texas State Rifle Association? Because, you know, it was the Virginia Civil Defense League that really stepped up. Their state Second Amendment Association that stepped up in Virginia after what happened there in that election. So how can we better resource or even arm you guys with the resources to be able to go out there and push back against this incredible incursion we see here in Texas?
The number one thing is to join the Texas State Rifle Association. We have a relatively low annual membership fee, and the power that we have in the state of Texas is based on our membership, because legislators know that our membership is more likely to go vote than many others. So the more numbers we have enrolled in membership, the stronger we are. The other thing is, if you can afford it, to financially support TSRA and the TSRA Political Action Committee, because that's how we get the word out and we combat the advertising that the Bloomberg-related organizations are able to afford.
You know, right after the Texas primary in March, you know, Joe Biden showed up down here in Dallas, and of course he was joined on stage by the nemesis of the Second Amendment, Robert Francis O'Rourke, and he flat out said that he is going to look to Mr. O'Rourke to take care of his gun problem. What are some of the key legislative priorities of the TSRA to make sure that Mr. O'Rourke is not handling our gun problem, but law-abiding gun owners here in the state of Texas have a voice through your organization?
The primary thing is that we have an extremely strong lobbying team. Mike Cox is our legislative director and the head of that team. We also have a contract lobbyist, Mark Borski, with Borski Governmental Relations, and Mark and Mike work very closely together, as well as Tara Mecha, who is the NRA Texas lobbyist, and the three of them work very closely together in analyzing all the legislation that's coming up, all of the problems that may come up, and they've done a tremendous job in promoting pro-gun legislation and keeping out the bad legislation.
You know, there's a lot of concern about one of your legislative priorities called constitutional carry. Can you kind of explain that to take away the boogeyman effect?
Constitutional carry has been very controversial, and I think that a lot of it is because people really don't understand. Many have called it open carry. There's an organization that uses that in their title, and have used more kind of in your face demonstration, going into Home Depot with their AR kind of tactics. Our tactic is more to work within the political structure as it exists. And we believe that constitutional carry is exactly what it says. It is our right under the Constitution to carry firearms.
And when you look at the argument against that, of course, folks are going to say you're advocating for more gun violence. One of the things I find interesting is that when you do have a rally like you saw on January the 20th in Virginia, there was no gun violence at that rally.
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Vicki.
I was just going to say the statistics prove that people who own firearms legally that have license to carry or whatever are far less likely to be involved in negative behavior with them.
And especially something that's quite disconcerting for me is that you have people here in the state of Texas that are advocating for open borders, and some places that want to make themselves sanctuary cities. And we've seen an uptick in some crime. I'm up here in the Dallas County area, and about Houston. But yet at the same time, they want to talk about restricting the rights of legal law-abiding gun owners.
I think they're delusional.
Yeah, well, now, and when you talk about the delusion that is out there, because we have seen a lot of people moving into Texas from, California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, failed blue states. We know that Texas is going to pick up 3 new congressional districts because of the influx of population. Some of the folks moving in from these places, they get it. They are tired of living there. But we also see a lot of people that are coming here and continuing to vote based upon the ideology that they had in the places that are failing. How do we make sure that we can reach those individuals and tell them that, welcome to Texas, why are you here?
That's a tough one. I think that one is going to be an ongoing issue for sure. When I speak to people, I've known people who didn't care what your background was. They didn't want you to own a firearm. And I think that it's just to make them understand that most of us who own firearms have had some training. We are law-abiding. We are careful about what we do, and that we're not interested in harming anyone else. And I think it's just to try and get that message across to them.
Well, it goes back to a saying that I remember: if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns.
Exactly.
And we don't want to get to that point. Vicki, when you talk about your legacy as the executive director of the Texas State Rifle Association, what would you like for that to be?
I would like for it to be that we're at least as strong or stronger in our protection of the Second Amendment as we are now. We're going through several changes organizationally, internally here, replacing our database and website into an e-commerce system where we can participate more functionally in the e-commerce world we all live in now. I would like to see us do more programs, reaching out to people and providing more information to people who maybe have an interest but don't really know about firearms, and helping them to make the journey from not really knowing but being interested to being an advocate and being a participant in firearms activities.
Well, I want to tell you thanks so much for taking the time. Where can people follow the Texas State Rifle Association, their website, contact information?
Our website is www.tsra.com. And if you're interested in our political action committee, that one is www.tsrapac.com. Well,
thank you so much. And I will tell you that one of the reasons why I wanted to sit down and have a chat with you is because here is an incredibly successful woman who transitioned out of the corporate world and is now heading up the State Rifle Association, a 100-year-old State Rifle Association, in what is without a doubt the largest conservative state in the United States of America. And you just break down all of their stereotypes from the progressive socialist left. And I wanted to highlight you, and I thank you so much for being in your position, which is critical for us here to defend liberty, our freedoms, and our rights. So God bless you, and thank you so much, Vicki.
Thank you, Alan. God bless Texas.
God bless Texas. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that was Victoria Huyge, the Executive Director of the Texas State Rifle Association. And now we're going to have a little chat with S.T. Russell, who is running for the Dallas County Commission seat that is currently held by Commissioner John Wiley Price. If you're familiar with Dallas County, you know that we need to switch out John Wiley Price and get S.T. Russell in there. Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. As promised, we are with S.T. Russell, and Mr. Russell is running against Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price. And if there's anything that is happening right now in Dallas County, where I do live, we're very concerned about things that we have seen emanating out of the Dallas County Commission. For instance, just recently, they voted 4-1, and Mr. Wiley Price was in the majority on that vote, to allow people to declare that the fear of getting COVID-19 is a disability, and therefore they can file for a mail-in ballot. And we all know why people want mail-in ballots.
Yes,
S.T. Russell, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a little bit about your background. I know that you served 5 years in the United States Air Force. I won't hold that against you being an Army guy, but tell us about your area there and why you're running for this county commission seat.
Well, mainly this area over here is, I believe, is deprived. When you compare it to the other section of Dallas County, it's very deprived. We have low lighting, bad streets. We have mosquito infestation because I think mainly because the water's not draining properly when it rains. We just have a lot of problems. We have churches on every corner of the street, but a lot of people don't even go to church. We have a lot of inner problems. Not only because the schools are not necessarily promoting higher education, keeping parents involved in their kids' education, but it's just a lot of dysfunction that we have for a lot of reasons. And I would like to address those reasons and hopefully bring a change and we can do better.
Now, how long have you lived down there in South Dallas County?
Like I said, I'm a native of South Dallas County. I've been here practically all my life, except for the time I was in the Air Force. I graduated from Carter High School. At one time, I lived in Duncanville. I had a house in Duncanville. Now I live here in Oak Cliff over by the Laurel Cemetery. So I've been here all my life.
Now, what have you seen in being there all your life? What are the changes that you have seen, or has anything not changed down there in that commission area, county commission area?
Well, things has not changed that much. I mean, we have a lot of street construction going on. Let me tell it too much at one time. We, instead of opening one side of the street and closing the other side while we do the construction on, for some reason or other, they basically decided to close the whole freeway and work on both sides of the roads at the same time. There is no clarity as far as when they're gonna finish or even start to reopen different sections of the road. So we have a lot of traffic problems, especially in the morning times, people commuting back and forth to work. We have a lot of traffic problems, and we should not get no better anytime soon. And I would like to at least offer, the residents a transparency of the expected due date, the completion date of the road repairs. We have no idea how long they're going to take. If the contractors are prolonging it for the pay, we have no sense of what's going on, and it's really frustrating. And it's not fair to the citizens not to know when and how long this construction is going to take place. And like I said again, they did all of it at one time instead of doing it part. They did it all at one time. It just wasn't fair.
Now, when you talk about the community and the neighborhood down there in South Dallas, which is where you were running to be the county commissioner, what have you seen as far as economic growth and opportunity? You talked about the education down there. Are we not seeing an investment in the school systems there in that area of Dallas County?
Well, the school investment, I think, is typical of the whole city. But I guess in most cases, the student, I was a sub this semester, I was a substitute teacher this semester. And what I was able to observe is most of the times the teachers are not able to get the parents engaged in the student education. So a lot of times they fall behind because they're not actually engaged in the learning material. But the material that they present is fine, but as far as getting them to absorb it, it's another thing. I think they need the help from their parents to actually be engaged in the material that's being presented to them. But outside that, I think all the students are getting the same amount of education, the whole district.
Now, what about small business growth down there, and how have you seen small businesses been affected by this COVID-19? I call it illegal martial law and house arrest, all of these shutdown orders that are coming from the county judge, Clay Jenkins there. Mostly it has been supported by John Wiley Price, the commissioner that you're running against. But what effects have you seen with small businesses there in your commission seat area?
But most of the small business, especially the hair salons, I feel sorry for them, but I understand the need for the security, especially for, to contain the spread of the virus. And I hope when they do open, at the very least, we will start using masks. Down here, the mask population is not that high. They got signs when you go into these small business, please wear your mask, even on the doors you go in. But most people don't wear the mask, and the people that put the signs up is not wearing a mask. But I really believe that the virus is a threat, is truly a threat, and we do need to take precautions, but at the same time, we have to open up the economy. But I'm really concerned, I'm really thinking that the mask is one of the main answers, and until we get people in my community to start actually using the mask, I don't think we're gonna see the numbers go down in my district. And one of my cities, one of the 10 cities that's in this district, is very high in the whole Dallas County.
And that's one of the issues that people have been talking about, is that COVID-19 has had an adverse effect in the Black community, in the urban population centers. How do you think that we can do a better job of promoting healthier living and healthier lifestyles, in your county commission area?
Well, as I said earlier, sir, I believe it has a lot to do with the education. I'm not saying any group is obsolete now, but as far as the younger groups coming up, if they keep coming up with the same mentality that the old group have, there's nothing going to change. I believe the best thing for Dallas County as far as going forward is to change it in the younger generation. And the second thing I also brought up too, I would like to have the churches to stand up a little bit more and motivate the parents to do a better job with their kids. And that way, that will grow the education level in the community, and that would bring up the middle class and all up, as well as anything else. I think that the education is really the most important part that I think is going to help Southern Dallas County.
Well, you are running against someone that has been in that county commission seat for quite some time, and Commissioner John Wiley Price. Let's talk about what differentiates you from Commissioner Price, because for whatever reason, with the corruption and everything he's gone through, somehow he continues to get reelected. So how do you break that stranglehold that he has down there in that commission seat?
Well, the first thing, I respect Mr. Price. He's been around for a long time, and I remember when he first came on the scene and under what circumstances he came on the scene under. But those times have changed, and things are not so much, black versus white, especially down here. Rare to see in the white people down here. Not disrespecting anything, it's just the population is like 50% Hispanic, 50% blacks. You rarely see any Caucasians down here. But as far as Mr. Price and his legacy, I have no disrespect for Mr. Price. It's just that, like the Bible says, sometimes the salt loses its savor. It's time for fresh ideas. Myself, I just want to relook at things that he has already looked at and his mind is made up on them. I want to go in and actually look at them again and see, can I see a different perspective in it, and make sure the county grows, make sure we start to modernize. We outdated over here, and Mr. Price has done a great job, during the time he's in office, and we haven't sank. So therefore, but we haven't moved from one destination to another destination, and that's what I really, really would like to do.
So if there was one issue that you can pick that provides a clear difference and delineation and separation between yourself and Commissioner John Wiley Price? What's that one issue that you think gives you an advantage and that you can leverage?
Oh, that one easy right there, sir. The property value taxes. The value taxes are very, very high. What the problem is, in my opinion, is that the commission allows the property tax rate to be based on a new house. So if a new house is built across the street from me and that house is valued at 150, they decided that my house is also worth 150. But the problem is, I don't have a new roof. I don't have the plumbing. I don't have the new windows. I don't have the new wiring. I don't have any of the new appliances. I don't have the new floor, the new carpet, the new paint job, the new sheetrock. That's the point of the matter is, that's what's killing us over here. And I think the whole county is the way that they're rating the property taxes increase. And that's not fair. And I very much think that would make a big difference between myself and Mr. Price.
How would you differentiate yourself from Commissioner Price on the issue of, security and, law enforcement down there and reducing the amount of crime and drug and gang activity?
Well, again, it still go back to the citizens. It's up to the citizens to do their part. Like over here in one of the cities, I went to a movie, and the kids. I mean, it had to be like at least 120, 150 kids that's out there roaming the parking lot. The city police departments is doing what they can to rotate around these people, but they can't watch everything. So therefore, some cars get vandalized, some windows get busted out. But I still blame that on the parents having more control over their kids, as well as the sheriff doing more than he does and the police doing more than he does. We actually need help from the citizens. Then that's basically the government need help from the citizens to help up, to step up.
I grew up in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia. I was born in 1961. And one of the things that I have seen happen in the inner city urban Black communities is the decimation of the family. So how can you use your voice and your campaign, or you running for this commission seat, to talk about the restoration of the strong Black family? Because I think that comes back to one of the key things you're talking about. You talked about the education, parental involvement. You talked about how you see all of these kids out there in the parking lot and doing the things that my mom and dad, would not have wanted me to do. And there was a little bit of fear that they put in my heart, so I wouldn't do it. So how do we restore that strong Black family in these inner city urban communities?
Well, like I said earlier, sir, we have a church on every corner. We have a church on every corner. They are the backbone of the community. In any community, whether it's Southern Dallas County or any other county, Atlanta, Georgia, the same thing. I was down there last week for Mother's Day. It still had a nice time. But the point of the matter being, I would do my best to call all the clergymen together, have some kind of meeting with them, and just identify to them what is actually going on and how, hopefully, they can guide their followers to make the necessary change to better the community. But I really believe it really starts with the churches, because they have contact with all of the adults, especially the parents. And if I can put a book in the minister's ears, I hope that would lead them to putting a book in the hearts of the parents of the children that needs the most attention, which is any child needs parental guidance.
When you look at where you're running, and you're running against someone that has become almost a fixture in Dallas County politics, how do you bring in more external resources? How do you get more people to come down and help support you in unseating someone like a Commissioner John Wiley Price?
Well, I've never really considered considering people to come down and help us fix our problems.
Well, I'm happy to.
I'm happy to hear this, sir. But when my strength come in is I have a degree in psychology, so I'm trying to use my psychology wits to get into the minds of voters to vote for me. That's my whole thing. If I can get into the mindset of voters that either some gonna be tired of John, he done did the best he could last time for new ideals, and that's what I'm really counting on. As far as asking having help. I'm campaigning, I'm putting out signs, I'm doing outreach, I'm doing phone texting. I got a lot of stuff going on. I got 3 different types of campaign signs I'm using with my sociology strategy. I think I'll be fine. And on top of it, not disrespect, but some things are considered a waste. It's been a long time since a Republican won any seat in Dallas County. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I would like to try the strategies that I already have planned before I would ask anybody to, invest in Southern Dallas County, especially when it's such a blue county. I think it might be a waste. So I think I'm just going to go the way I'm going and not turning down help, but not asking or expecting help. I think I got a good strategy.
Well, I will tell you that if you need me to get in my Jeep or on my motorcycle and come down there on to South Dallas County, I'm happy to do that. I live up here in Garland, which is the northeast side of Dallas County. But I think it's very important that we lock shields and we work together, and you leverage everyone that you possibly can to come in and help you. And I understand everyone has always said these major cities, even in the state of Texas, are blue, and it's tough to get into those communities. But when you go out and talk to people about their principles and you talk to people about their values, I think that that's how you make the right inroads. So I look forward to you calling upon me and me coming down there and doing whatever I can to help you out in this run, ST.
Okay, thank you, sir. I keep that in mind. Matter of fact, I'm quite sure I use it.
All right, that's what we Army guys do. We come in, we help out the Air Force anywhere we can.
You leave no one behind.
We leave no one behind. Hey, I tell you what, how can people connect with you? How can people follow your campaign? What's your website?
My website is strussell.com. That's the website. And on the website, it has my email address. And you can email me. And once I get to know you, then I give you my text number. And then we start texting, and we can really branch out from there. But I always start out just giving the website and get a little insight about me. And that way you can feel comfortable when you do send me an email. You feel as if you know who you're talking to.
Let's give your website out one more time.
strussell.com.
Let me say something in closing this interview. We've got to do better as a Republican Party and coming to your aid. And I think it's an important thing that you need to understand that the Republican Party of Texas was founded by 150 blacks back on July the 4th of 1867. So we have got to reestablish that link, that connection with the black community, our principles and values, with the party that was responsible for the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, the party that enabled the first black members of the United States House of Representatives and also the United States Senate to be a member of their party. As a matter of fact, just this past weekend, the only other black Republican who has ever been a member of Congress, he passed away in 1905 this past weekend. His name was Josiah T. Walls. And the person that came after him was myself. So I think that we got to do a lot better. And I think that you may not want to ask for it, but you shouldn't have to ask for it. We should be able to come down there and support you. And like I said, I will be willing to do that, and you will see me down there, ST.
Okay, thank you, sir.
God bless you, and have a great, great campaign. And like I say, we'll be working hard to unseat John Wiley Price.
Okay, thank you, Colonel Allen.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here with us for another episode of Chairman Chats with me, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, candidate for chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. Hopefully you enjoyed our discussions with Vicki Huyge and also ST Russell. Please, if you're here in the state of Texas, you're a legal, law-abiding gun owner, go out and join the Texas State Rifle Association. That's your state rifle association. And as we discussed, Michael Bloomberg and his anti-gun groups have Texas squarely in their sights. And we don't want to see Texas go the way that Virginia went in 2019. And one of the critical things we have to do, if we're to start to restoring our conservative principles and values in these major urban centers and population centers that have been controlled by the Democrats for 50, 60 years in some cases, We got to start supporting those local candidates like S.T. Russell running for county commission. We can do this, but we got to wrap our arms around them and strengthen them and go in and stand side by side with them and letting people know in Dallas County and all across the United States of America, they don't have to be a victim. They can be a victor. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.